Hello and welcome back to Connections with Danielle. This week it's May. We can go from it's gonna be May to it is May. I know April's showers were turned into April storms, and we've had lots of storm damage, and Franklin has yet another review of things that you should be doing with your storm damage and your claims and things, other questions that people have had. We have got graduations and Mother's Day, Cinco de Mayo. Get out and support your local Mexican restaurants this week. Then we have, most importantly, our teachers and our nurses, our civilian workers that work so hard as public servants, and we want to thank them for all that they do. And next weekend we celebrate our moms. And, get out with, maybe come to the Rage Room. We all know we're probably all our sources of our mother's greatest rage. I know probably I am. But we have great networking events coming up this week. Hope to see you at those. I am going to show you some clips of our event from this weekend. Flourish Furniture Bank's running of the beds. Our team was James from here at Super Smash, Adam Peacock with New York Life, and his two children, Bella and Nate. And then Linda Wasoba with Sands of Time and Castle on the Prairie. Want to thank them so much for joining us. And I'm going to show you the clips, turn it over to Franklin, and see you next week at the networking events. Have a good day.
Hi, Franklin Tire here, local American Family Insurance agent here in Olathe, Kansas, last 40 years. Today's vlog, we've had a lot of questions about storm damage. So if you're somebody who's had storm damage to your home, there's a couple of things to keep in mind. First of all, I always like to remind people that there's no reason to get into a hurry. If people are knocking on your door wanting to look at your roof or your house, those probably aren't the people you want to deal with. You want to deal with somebody local who can take care of your problems and will be around 5 years from now when a piece of flashing goes bad or they didn't caulk somewhere properly. They can come out and fix that, where if you go with an out-of-town person, that person's probably not going to be around for you to call to get them to make the repairs. So keep that in mind. And the other thing I always like to point out is with storm damage is most of the time the damage isn't severe enough that's going to cause a leak or any other problems, so that you do have time to be patient to wait it out. So that's always great advice. A couple of other things to keep in mind is insurance companies have really started tightening their belts. So you want to be aware that if you only have hail damage on one side of your home, that's the only side of the home they're going to fix. So you want to make sure you understand your policy and make sure you have coverage for matching siding endorsement. That gives you coverage in case that siding can't be matched. It'll re-side your entire house instead of just one side. Same goes for roofing products. If you only have hail damage on one side of your roof and the insurance company only pays for that side, and that shingle's not made anymore, you might need that matching endorsement to take care of that. So it's always a good idea to review your policies, make sure you understand what your coverages are going to be. And the last thing is, make sure you understand what your deductible is going to be. Companies nowadays have changed that and given more of the deductible to the client. And so you want to make sure you understand your deductible. I see a lot of policies out there with a 2%, 3%, 4% wind hail deductible. And what that really means is that your deductible is 4% of whatever your home's insured at. So those deductibles can be really big. And you want to keep that in mind. You want to make sure you understand your policy and how your policy works. You want to make sure you understand the language in your policy. Everybody can make a deck page look the same, but it's all about the language in the policy that makes the big difference. As always, if you have questions or would like to go over that, we'd be glad to talk to you. So have a great day.